Dear viewers, welcome to yet another edition of Expert Speaks. This is an episode that I've done hearing your queries out. You have asked me these questions. I'm trying to answer your query. I've collated a lot of queries which has come into my inbox and trying to figure out what you're trying to tell me. And the gist is, I have got an insurance plan and should I still make a will? This is a question that is posed by you all. I'm going to ask this question to my succession planning specialist, Mr. Nikhil Vargas, in today's episode. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I'm Dr. Chandrakant, but your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Dear viewers, to answer your question, I have invited my succession planning and estate planning specialist, Mr. Nikhil Vargas. He needs no introduction. You have seen him, you have heard him in multiple number of videos. A man who has worked with the big four in the audit firms. He is a chartered accountant by himself. As a profession, he has dedicated his life to work for the succession planning related issues, and before he started his startup called Yellow, which is working on solutions for succession planning and estate planning, he was working with a big wealth management firm as the South India head of that particular firm. Welcome to the show, Mr. Nikhil Vargas.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrakant. Again, it's always a pleasure to be part of your show. But the kind of interaction that I get from your audience and the follow-on questions is tremendous, and always a honor to be part of your show. Thank you so much for inviting me and having this important discussion today.
My audience has asked a very interesting question. In fact, it came from one of the persons who is in Africa who has purchased a big life insurance called a jumbo life insurance. Many people may not know what a jumbo life insurance is. I'll do a separate video on that. But this person is asking me, I have got a life insurance policy which is very sizable and that will take care of all my family needs. His question is, since I have this kind of an insurance policy, do I still have to get my will done, or do I have to work on other estate planning tools as well? What answer you have for this gentleman?
Great question. The user's perspective. Let's step back and look at what does an insurance mean, right? Why are you creating an insurance? Insurance is essentially a corpus that you want to create in such a fashion that if you're not there, your family is taken care of. Your income is what you're providing for the family today. That is substituted with this corpus that comes out by way of an insurance. Right? And that essentially is ensuring that this is financial security for your family. But what we don't realize is that this is coming only out of the policy that you've created post your life to your family, right? But there are also certain assets, many assets, or not certain assets, many assets that you create during your life, be it your bank accounts, deposits, investments, perhaps real estate. All of this also needs to be transferred to your loved ones, and that doesn't happen through insurance. Insurance gives you that corpus, definitely yes, but there are other assets that you accumulate during your life that also needs to smoothly go to your loved ones, and that's where estate planning tools come handy. Especially the foundation of estate planning tool being a will becomes very, very important for you to write a will, so that one, your family is aware that I own these assets apart from life insurance, including the fact that life insurance is something that I've put together for the family. Plus, how these assets needs to be transferred to who is something comes out of a will, and therefore it is very important to write a will.
Nikhil, this episode is about insurance policies' importance in estate planning and succession planning. Now, the question that I would like to ask you is, how important the insurance policy are to make sure that the interests of the loved ones are taken care of? And if a person has got a will and the person has got a nomination in an insurance policy, can these two be at loggerheads? Can it create a conflict, or can somebody challenge a will or challenge an insurance policy? What does the law say? And if somebody gets into that particular situation, how it has to be resolved?
Excellent question, sir. If you look at this, I'll address it from an Indian context because the situation in foreign jurisdiction, we can also have an insurance policy abroad, and I may not be the right person to comment on, because each jurisdiction has its own specific and unique laws. and becomes very difficult to comment on. Purely from an India perspective, insurance as a tool helps, like we discussed, helps families to get a good corpus so that their loved ones are taken care of and their lifestyle needs are taken care of. But the benefit of insurance is that once you nominate someone for the particular insurance that you pick up, they become the beneficial owner as well. This usually an exception to the nominee rule. When you look at nomination in a general scenario, nominee is only a trustee to the asset. Your legal heir is defined either under the Indian succession law or the will, which defines who the beneficiaries are. But for an insurance, and there are a few others like PF, where if you make a nomination, the nominee becomes a beneficiary as well. Now there's a clear catch. Who can be a nominee? It can't be any random person to be a nominee. The law specifically in India says that the nomination or the insurance can be taken only on a person who has an insurable interest. It should mean that your blood relatives, parents, spouse, children, who can be a nominee to your insurance, and not friends, other than close relatives, nobody can be a nominee. If that being the case, nominee becomes a sole and whole owner of the insurance corpus, and that's becomes the law of land, all right? And going forward, if there's a will and the will says that my insurance policy that I've taken up should go to my parents, but the nominee says it needs to go to wife, what stands the test of law and who is the actual beneficiary? Will has no relevance here. It's the nominee or the beneficiary that you're named in the insurance policy becomes the rightful owner. Will does not supersede a nomination or a beneficiary specified in an insurance policy. And coming to contestment, a will can be contested. In my limited understanding, I don't think insurance can be contested unless the cause for demise is suspicious. That's something which I don't want to open up the can of worms.
Right. So I'll summarize what I understood from you. Nomination has two dimensions to it. In the normal sense, a nominee is a custodian or a trustee to receive the money, but he is not the owner of the assets that he is going to get. But this has an exception to the rule when it comes to question of insurance policies or public provident funds, or there could be some other things which I do not know, where if you are nominated, they are the beneficial owners of that particular policy or a public provident fund. They are not to be passed on to somebody else. In the event a person dies with a will in place, and even if he has mentioned that the proceeds of the insurance policies have to be paid to somebody else in his will, whereas in his insurance policy he has nominated another person, the monies which come as a result of that payout from insurance policy in the event of death of that policy owner will go to the nominee and not to the person who is mentioned in the will. This is a point which we need to make note of. As you said, yes, Indian nomination rules are quite stringent. You can nominate somebody within the family. You have children, parents, grandparents, siblings, but you cannot nominate outside the family. Whereas internationally, it could be you have every right to nominate whomever you want. It could be your pet, it could be a trust, it could be a friend or anybody else. So these rules will change from country to country, and whatever we discussed here with this episode particularly refers to situation which is prevailing in India.
Absolutely right. One point I want to raise here is that if the nomination is invalid, the nominee is not surviving the insurance scenario, in that case the insurance policy goes without nomination. In that scenario, will provides, if there's a direction in the will, that takes precedence. That's something which I missed out to talk about. That is very rare.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhil, to point out that. See, if you have taken an insurance policy with an intention that it should go to your spouse under any conditions, and God forbid, during your lifetime, your spouse were to be not there, take care to see that you nominate one another person in place of your spouse or whoever is the original nominee, so it will not create a conflict. If you don't have nominated any other person, then the will take over, and whatever you mention in the will, if it goes uncontested, then the insurance policy payouts will go to the person mentioned in the will. Is that correct?
Absolutely right.
3 years or more. That's how long it can take for your family to recover your assets. This delay in asset recovery means your loved ones won't have access to their inheritance when they need it the most. Create your will today.
Mr. Nikhil, we have discussed wills in different episodes. We are discussing today the compatibility or differences between an insurance policy serving its purpose and a will serving its purpose. My follow-up question or a simple question for you to answer is, I am in the verge of making estate planning. I am in a consultation process with a professional. What is the role of insurance that I have to put in at the time of working on my estate planning?
So, if I have to look at it from a broad standpoint, estate planning is one part of your overall financial plan, right? If I were to break it down, there are 3 parts to one's wealth creation journey. In the initial days, it's salary or business that gives you that corpus, which you use for wealth creation through various investment tools, insurance, investments in stock market, investments in real estate, various investment tools that you look at. And that's where even insurance fits in, to build your corpus and ensure that that corpus is available for you during your life to be taken care of, and also your family is taken care of. And how do you ensure it is providing for you without any risk from external forces, and that it is seamlessly transferred to your family at a point in time when you're not around, is where estate planning comes into the picture. That's something which is very important facet of wealth creation in one's journey. Both are different concepts but talk in a similar fashion. When I say different concept, in that sense, it is essentially you're creating a corpus for your family. Like we spoke initially, insurance gives you that one lump sum corpus for your family to be taken care of. Assets that you create during your life also needs to seamlessly pass on, including insurance. That's where estate planning or creation of a will plays an important role. Both go hand in hand, but different concepts altogether, but both have clear adjacency, right? You're talking about providing for family with respect to a separate corpus or the assets that you create. I know I'm repeating this again and again, but I can't emphasize the importance of it, because this can't be looked at as an alternative to each other. It is always complementary.
Dear viewers, for the benefit of NRIs, we have partnered with Yellow, the startup which is dedicated for estate planning, succession planning, and for people who want to make sure their hard-earned assets are transferred to their loved ones. It has multiple aspects to it. It could be a will, it could be a trust, it could be a consultation to find out what suits you, what changes have to be required, and if you are living in different geographies, different domiciliary movement, all these things can be brought under one consultation process under Yellow. If you have an interest to work on this, if you have a problem, if you want a solution, you can make best use of services provided by Yellow. How to reach out to them? Very simple. Just send us a WhatsApp message on the number that is shown here, and we will connect you with the right professional in Team Yellow. Needless to say, when you send this message and you avail the services through us, you stand to gain a handsome discount in the service fees offered by Yellow. Do not hesitate. If you have an issue, tomorrow could be too late. Send that message to us now. Needless to say, if you have queries, do post them in the comment section. Our future videos will capture those questions and we will produce videos to answer your questions that could be there in your mind. Nikhil, thank you very much for your time, and you answered this question of correlation between insurance policy and the estate planning activity. Thank you very much for your time. I keep calling you often. I will collect the questions and I will ask you to answer my audience. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chandrakant, to bring me on this show. When you raise this topic saying correlation of will and insurance, I was also thinking, why did this question come about at all, right? And surprising that I also realized there are many asking these questions, and important we break this myth, because whatever we spoke today, it's very important that one look at each facet of wealth creation differently. Protection is important. Family protection is a theme for insurance. Family protection is a theme for estate planning. Both needs to be looked at from a different lens, but for the same purpose, right? And that's how you need to look at things. Happy to answer many more queries, that any further queries that comes in this case. And great to speak with you, sir. Always a very conversational approach that you take, and I know it's lovely talking to you. Hope to see you soon in many more episodes of NRI Money Clinic and interact with your audience. Thank you so much.
Dear viewers, hope the video that I have done today helped you to understand the relation between your estate planning, your insurance policies, how you have to nominate, and what are the protection that you get when you nominate in an insurance policy. If it did help you understand these finer points, do not forget to like this video. If you are a viewer who is watching my channel for the first time, or if you are yet to subscribe for the channel, please do hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Don't forget to share these videos with the near and dear ones and the friends and relatives. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you next Tuesday with yet another useful topic with yet another expert. Till then, stay safe.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.